including our next guest, Republican Congressman from Tennessee, Tim Burchett. Congressman, thanks so much for joining Top Story tonight. We appreciate your time. So I want to put something on the screen here for our viewers. This is a statement that you posted to X after the vote saying, I voted against allowing the Chinese Communist Party to control an enormous information mining source in the United States. This isn't a bill to ban TikTok. It just requires TikTok to get out from under the Chinese government's thumb. Can you tell us more about your decision to vote yes today and what that really means?
Yeah, the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, is actually on the board of TikTok, of the corporation that owns it. And the interesting thing about it is that the U.S. version of TikTok, it's banned in China. They only allow kids 30 minutes a day on their own version that's controlled by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. Nearly every NATO country out there bans it. It's a way they mine information, and we've been told by our security people that they can use this to influence elections. So it's not a ban. It just says the Chinese communists, foreign enemy, cannot control an information source that's feeding garbage to our children.
Congressman, I'm trying to understand this, though, right? There are two wars overseas, a crisis at the border, Haiti's in chaos, inflation is impacting millions and millions of Americans, and Congress came together on TikTok? Why is this so important now?
It's the lanes that we're in. Every committee, transportation committee, people say, well, why are you dealing with potholes or trains or whatever? Well, that's what the transportation committee does. And the committee of jurisdiction that handled this bill, and the sponsor did it through those proper committees. That's what Congress is supposed to do. Just because we have Hunter Biden on the witness stand or he chooses not to come doesn't mean the other committees stop. So it's just the committee of jurisdiction, and the time for it came up, and the sponsor moved it forward.
I guess maybe I should have asked the question in a different manner then. Why did this issue unify Republicans and Democrats?
I think the mistrust and the things we're being told about what the Chinese Communist Party is doing and their ability to mine this information from our children and to influence things. And of course, it is an election year. We're moving into an election cycle. And TikTok, of course, told their kids, all the kids that were on it, before they could even log in, that they had to place a call to their congressman's office. And they locked down the phones in Washington for the last few days. Maybe that was their strategy, but I suspect the lobbyists that came up with that idea is probably out of a job today, because that was a pretty dumb move, because you lock down everything. Constituents, right, trying important things, Medicare, Medicaid, things like that, disability, that kind of thing, our veterans. And we weren't allowed to even talk to them because of that. Some of the offices weren't.
Congressman, I want to play some sound of former President Trump on CNBC earlier this week addressing his stance on TikTok. Let's play that now.
There are a lot of users. There's, a lot of good, and there's a lot of bad with TikTok. But the thing I don't like is that without TikTok, you can make Facebook bigger. And I consider Facebook to be an enemy of the people, along with a lot of the media.
But do you believe that TikTok is a national security threat or not? Because if it is, and I believe that the emergency powers order that you had put in place at the time suggested that it was that not true?
I do believe that. I do believe it. And we have to very much go into privacy and make sure that we are protecting the American people's privacy and data rights.
Congressman, it doesn't sound like he's totally in support of the ban. This is your presumptive nominee of the party. Is he wrong on this issue?
No, political expediency. I don't put it over national security right now, because I feel like our national security is the most vital and important thing, and we've ignored it in other areas, the border and other things. But in this instance, we know we can't, because both parties agree that is just that important.
Do you wish that the former president was more forceful on it then?
No, I don't. It's up to him, whatever he wants to do. I mean, he's a private citizen. He can say and do whatever he wants to, but I have to answer to the people of the 2nd Congressional District of Tennessee, and they're overwhelmingly believe that this is a data harvesting effort by the communist Chinese, and they don't have our best interests at heart. So that's where I fell on it.
What do you say to people who are worried about sort of freedom of speech, and by taking away TikTok, you're taking away sort of a platform that millions of people use, millions of Americans use to communicate. What would you say to that?
I would tell them that we are not taking away their platform. All we're doing is saying the Chinese communists can't own it, and it can't be under their thumb. I suspect a couple of good Americans on Shark Tank are probably trying to figure out, sharpening their pencils, how they can buy it. I would just tell them that we don't need, this thing it's bogus, really. You can sit there and talk about an issue or talk about a product, and then lo and behold, all of a sudden there's a video that pops up on the app. So they are listening to what you're saying. They are mining our information. They are marketing to our children. They are influencing them psychologically, obviously, we've seen. So I think it needs to be American owned. It doesn't need to have somebody with a Chinese communist influence, especially one sitting on the board of the corporation that owns it. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We don't need to be in bed with the Chinese communists. They have nothing good for this country to offer.
Congressman, we thank you. We thank you for your time tonight. We thank you for talking out this vote and how you came to that decision. We thank you for your time.